If you're thinking today about people suffering under the new Republican administration, spare a thought for the Kansas sorghum farmers. The abruptly and unconstitutionally canceled U.S. aid program was their main market for their sorghum. So now they've got all these full silos and no place to sell their crops. If you voted red in the last election, you are complicit in their suffering. And if that makes you uncomfortable, good.
Another day and another story about the people who voted for Donald Trump absolutely terrified that Trump is going to do what he promised to do. Now, yesterday, I talked about the teachers, superintendents who voted for Trump, and then now they're shocked that he is going to cut the Department of Education possibly, or at the very least cut funding to it, and they're worried they're going to lose their jobs. Today, once again, it's the farmers. Now, we have already talked multiple times over the last few months at this point about farmers across the country who voted for Trump, panicking that his mass deportation plans are going to devastate their farms, which would then devastate the food supply here in the United States. This is an issue that will, of course, affect everybody. Doesn't matter your income level. This is kind of a big deal. And now Bloomberg actually went out and talked to several Trump voting farmers down here in the South, and they voted for Trump. They like Trump. We're terrified of what Trump is going to do to our businesses. In an interview with Bloomberg, tomato grower Tony DeMare said that it would be a major mistake for Trump to institute the kind of crackdown on undocumented farm labor that has been enacted in Florida, where he says he's having trouble finding people to pick crops. A lot of people left Florida for Georgia, north, scared. Farmers had to let their crops rot, he told Bloomberg. And that, of course, is before Trump even got sworn in. Right, which is happening, just shortly here, really. So even before Trump's policies that are going to make the problem so much worse, the problem already existed. Farmers are having crops rot in the field. Idaho-based farmer Shay Myers, this one not in the South, obviously, tells Bloomberg that it is simply not realistic, given current conditions, to hire only American citizens or even only documented immigrants who come into the country on H-2A guest worker visas. He also bluntly tells Bloomberg that if he, quote, had to replace every falsely documented worker with an H-2A worker, it wouldn't happen. So there's a couple points on here that I want to point out, right? These farmers are admitting, like, yes, we're hiring illegal immigrants. And yet, across the country, Republican politicians told us for years and years, still tell us to this day, these immigrants are the ones that are the problems, right? Nobody ever wants to actually crack down on the people hiring the illegal or undocumented, is a much better word, my apologies, these undocumented immigrants. No. And now they're telling us, like, listen, we have to have these people. And by the way, I'm not even saying, like, we need to ship them back. I'm not of that opinion. Absolutely not. They should be allowed to say our economy is dependent upon undocumented people coming in this country. The problem is these people who hire them screw them over repeatedly. I mean, they're clearly admitting in this Bloomberg interview, Americans don't want to do these jobs. They don't. And there's not enough H-2A visas to bring in enough people to even do the jobs. Like, we're screwed if we don't have illegal immigration, which is why, of course, I voted for the guy who said he was going to get rid of all the illegal immigrants in the country. You see how it's really hard to have any sympathy whatsoever for these people? And I don't. This particular group of folks, I got no sympathy for you. Like some of the other issues where people were like, well, I thought he was going to lower the prices on this. I thought he was going to not destroy the Department of Education. I got a little bit of sympathy for them. For the farmers who are out there whining like the mass deportations are going to crush us. He was 100% clear that he was going to do that. For years, he was clear about it. But no, you were more concerned about who was using which public bathroom, as if that impacts your life at all. No, you were hoodwinked by a Republican Party to ignore the issues that matter to you and be distracted by this shiny thing over here, which for the last year or so has been transgender people. You were more concerned about that than you were about your own livelihood. And boy, the chickens are coming home to roost, and you deserve what is about to happen to you. No sympathy. Deal with it. Live with the consequences of your actions. Isn't that what the Republican Party's all about? Personal responsibility? Y'all did this to us. Deal with it, a-holes. Now, the problem with having that mentality on this particular issue is, of course, that this isn't just going to affect the farmers, right? As the one guy mentioned, like, we've already got foods rotting in the fields. Guess what happens when that happens, right? The food, the vegetables, the fruits, they're rotting in the fields. That is food that doesn't make it to market. So when there's less food at the market, but demand remains the same, come on, folks, simple macroeconomics, price goes up. Or if everybody is still willing to pay that high price, but the supply is still low and demand remains the same, scarcity. So we go without. We lose more money buying more expensive goods, and there's not enough to go around anymore. So as I said, rich, poor, doesn't matter. This is an issue that does affect us all. So while I do think these people need to take responsibility for their actions, the problem is their irresponsibility in being distracted by cultural, social bullcrap is dooming us all. Like, I, who did not vote for a single Republican ever in any election in my life, have to pay the price for this. You watching this, depending on the platform you're watching it on, you're probably pretty liberal. You didn't vote for any of this, but you also have to pay the price. We all do. We're a country. We're a collective. That's how it works. We basically have this collective punishment. We got to pay the price because a bunch of yahoos didn't pay attention to the issues that we had been warning about for months leading up to the election. We're all screwed because of too many ignorant, easily distracted voters.
Happy Sunday, everybody. I hope you had a good day. I hope you had a great weekend. I actually went outside, had to go over to my daughter's house to do something, and came home and said, well, that's enough. I'm not going back out there again till it cools down. Really looking forward to some fall weather. This heat, I don't like this heat. Been a lot of storms. Nebraska's been getting hit a lot too. I love a good storm. So I'm kind of pissed off that this was the year for Nebraska to get those storms when I'm not there. But that's life. What I learned off watching TikToks today, I heard somebody report that President Trump went on Truth Social and told all the homeless people to get off the streets in Washington, D.C. And I'm sure all those homeless people that were sitting around on the park bench by a tree, anywhere, scrolling on their phone, looking at Truth Social, go, oh, goodness, the president has warned me, I must move. Yeah, like, really? Do you really think that's a place to advertise that? And my question is, why? Why should they? Why are you treating homeless people like criminals? This I don't understand. You put a lot of people, you, the President of the United States, put a lot of those people on the streets with all the crap that you're pulling. So if you don't like to look at them, too damn bad. Then I've been seeing a lot more ranchers and farmers coming on just whining and complaining because they're going to lose their farms because they voted for Trump and look, and now those people won't come work for us. Well, what did you think was going to happen when you ship away all the immigrants? Or you believed him when he said it was just going to be the criminals? Every day when you do this, when you come on here and you say, but I voted for him, I really thought he was going to make America great. Yeah, show us your faces so we know the stupid people to stay away from. I'm sorry, but I lived in Nebraska. I listened to these freaking ranchers talking about how it was going to be so great to get rid of all these immigrants. One of the ranchers that was like that had a produce farm where on his farmland he had trailers for the immigrants to come stay while they worked on his farm. But of course that's the same man that had to pay a fine because they discovered that he wasn't paying the workers the Social Security money and all that stuff because, they won't report it, so why should I pay it? That kind of thing. So anyway, every day I wake up and I say to myself, we're going to hear some good news today. The best news we could hear, I don't know. But if every day we chip away a little bit more at this regime's control, is the best thing we can see. I am finally happy to see the Democrats actually stepping forward. Instead of talking, they're actually doing stuff. We've got a long ways to go, but I appreciate now what they're trying to do. Let's hope they keep the momentum. Just my opinion. Anyway, um, let's have a good night and pray for some really good news tomorrow morning. Every morning, we got to pray for some good news. That's all we can do. Have a good night, and we'll talk again later.
All right, folks, thank you so much for clicking on this video. Thank you so much for always come back to watch our video. I always appreciate your support. So today we have a topic, a very good and a very interesting topic that we are going to discuss. We're going to discuss about rural MAGA farmers. Now, one of the people that have suffered in these after effects of the election are the rural people, mostly rural MAGAs. Because, man, these people, they have hope in their candidates and they were expecting a lot, but they have never seen that. They have never seen what they were expecting. They were expecting like changes, but they have never seen changes, but they have struggled because it's a fact, and people have talked about it many, many times that rural farmers, particularly those who have been strong base, of support of DT, are facing a significant economic challenge due to the combined effects on the administration's trade tariffs and mass deportation policies. While many farmers continue to support him, they are also voicing deep concern about how these policies are directly impacting their livelihoods and the viability of their firms. Now, farmers are the first people that have been affected, apart from immigrants. But farmers are the people that have been affected by what they did. They hate themselves. They vote against their own interest. They've never cared about themselves. They have never cared about the families. They have never cared about immigrants that was working in their firms. Right now, they don't have workers in their firms. So the two major things that made these farmers to lose everything is the trade tariffs and mass deportation. The tariffs have affected them to the market side, and deportation have also affected them to the labor side. But also the policies of the administration have also affected them because now, as we talk, USAID is no longer there. Remember, USAID was buying produce from the farmers, was buying harvest from the farmers. But right now, it's not there. So the farmers are no longer able to sell their produce. The produce is rotting in their farms because they don't have workers to go and pick the crops. Because China is no longer buying soybeans in America. The market have shifted to Brazil. So even other markets for the farmers, they're not interested. So where are these farmers going to sell their produce? That's why we're saying that these farmers are going to go broke. They don't have money. Some, they need a lot of money for insurance to insure their farms, but they don't have. So if you then sell as a farmer, do you expect to get money to go and do your insurance? It's impossible. So it have impacted them bigly because the retaliatory tariffs and loss of market have made farmers men to lose their minds. It's a challenge because duty tariffs on imported goods have often triggered retaliatory tariffs from other countries. We already know that, most notably China. So these farmers, they thought they were punishing China. So that's why they celebrated. Oh man, we are punishing China, so we have to celebrate. Really? Man, this is a crucial market for American agriculture. Export like soybeans, corn, and pork. So when these countries impose their own tariffs, American farm export become more expensive and less competitive. As a result, foreign buyers turn to alternative suppliers, leading to sharp drop in demand for U.S. Crops. So this has caused a significant surplus of goods and in the domestic market, driving down prices and hurting farmers' profits. Because they are selling on low, it means the price they used to sell on when they're selling like soybeans or pork to China It's no longer the same price because, yes, you have the produce, but you don't have the market. What's going to happen? You reduce the price so that you can sell because those things are going to go bad. Yeah, they're going to go bad. So after these farmers faced all these challenges, expecting to see more of improvement and of benefits from their choices, from their direction, from the what they did in the election, they've never seen that. But what they faced is the challenges. Man, this is FAFO season. You F around, you find out because, man, it's clear. It's clear. You can see it. You were enjoying, you were happy saying, oh, I will vote. You remember that song? Now you don't have workers in the farm. Immigrants are no longer there. But I always ask this question. When these farmers were going to vote to support deportation, whom do they think that the administration is going to deport? That's the question. I'd love to hear from a farmer who voted deportation and he always depends on immigrants, workers, and vote to deport immigrants, really? And it is affecting you. It is affecting you because immigrants are no longer interested working in those farms. They are no longer interested because they have fear. They have fear because they are going to be deported. Man, so crazy. So the mass deportation is have impacted the farmers. The impact is so big because it's very sad when you're a farmer and you find your crops are rotting in the farm. It's very sad. It's very sad situation. Finding your crops dying. Finding your crops, man. It's already the time of harvest, but it's dying. So my question is, why have you voted against your own interest? The guy have prepared everything, have showed you everything, what he's going to do, have showed you what his plan are. He was going to do a lot of things that is going to affect you guys. But you've never listened to what people told you. That's the question. That's the big problem. Because remember, you had a dependency on immigrant labor. We already know that the US agriculture sector relies heavily on immigrant labor, with a significant portion of the workforce being undocumented. We already know that. So these workers perform physical demand and low wage jobs that many US born workers are unwilling to do in some sectors. Dairy, crops, fruit, vegetables, they rely on the workforce of immigrants. So losing immigrants, tariffs, government benefits are making farmers go broke. Mostly rural farmers are going broke. Rural MAGAs are going broke. It's the reality. You should have seen this because it was clear that the guy doesn't care about you guys. He needed your vote. You gave him your vote. Right now you're suffering. You're really suffering. Really, really suffering. So things are increasing because of tariffs. The raw materials that America was importing, it's increasing. So it means farmers are not going to get profits. I'm not saying all the farmers, some will, but some will not. There will some who will not afford the raw material. Man, it's so hard, very, very hard because um, the situation have created a complex and often contradictory position for many rural farmers who identify as part of DT's political base, on one hand, they support they support his broader political agenda, which includes like a focus on America first. Yes, America first, and a hardline approach to immigration. On the other hand, the direct economic consequences of these policies are proving to be devastating to their businesses. So, my question is, are you making it great again? Or it's failing? You're losing everything. You're losing everything. Many farmers feel caught between their political loyalties and their financial reality. While they may believe in the long-term goals of the policies, they are taking it on the chin in the short term. The issue highlights a key tension for this voting bloc. The identity and values are aligned with the president's, but the practical outcomes of his policies are directly harming their ability to make a living. All right, tell me, what do you think about this? If whenever making these videos about the farmers, man, I got sad because it's very sad. Farmers and hard workers, they work so hard, so hard. All right, folks, tell me, what do you think about this topic? Let's keep our conversation in the comments below. I am your presenter, Fikazo. Thank you.